The fighting on the Donetsk front continued into the summer. Severodonetsk was at a disadvantageous position, being attacked from three sides, but Ukrainian forces endured and bought time. During June, Russian forces launched fierce assaults in this narrow area, intense enough that commanders were killed in action. Ukrainian forces also sent reinforcements to respond, but Severodonetsk fell on June 24th. Russian forces advanced further, and Annexation across the river also fell on July 3rd. Russian forces reached further west to Severodonetsk, but their offensive gradually slowed.
The Russian operation has failed. It is only bringing destruction to Donetsk, especially Prigozhin. He is wasting Russia's elite forces as expendable troops.
On July 16th, the Russian Ministry of Defense announced a pause in operations.
Our forces have succeeded in stabilizing the front through the use of HIMARS.
Both sides used long-range weapons, and intense artillery battles targeting logistics continued.
Our forces began a counteroffensive in the Kherson direction.
Ukraine announced the start of a counteroffensive on the southern front, and Russian forces also sent reinforcements to strengthen their defenses. However, during the summer, the front lines changed little, and people around the world began to believe that Ukraine's counteroffensive had failed. But that was a trap laid by Ukraine using the full strength of the nation. September 6th, Ukrainian forces, massed near Balaklia east of Kharkiv, launched a large-scale surprise offensive. Unprepared Russian forces quickly had their front lines broken through. Ukrainian forces recaptured the strategic cities of Izium and Kupiansk. They continued pursuing and routed the Russian forces. After the Russian forces fled, large amounts of weapons and ammunition were left behind, and Ukrainian forces captured them in great quantities. In response to this collapse of the front, Russian forces had not only moved reserve units originally meant to plug gaps in the front to the Kherson direction, but had also relocated forces to Vladivostok in the Far East for annual ceremonies and training related to victory over Japan Day. Ukrainian forces advanced beyond Kharkiv Oblast into Luhansk Oblast, pushing the Donbas front eastward. Ukrainian forces then encircled the strategic city of Lyman. Russian forces rushed to send hastily assembled reinforcements, but the momentum of the Ukrainian forces could not be stopped. On October 2nd, Ukraine successfully recaptured Lyman. The Ukrainian counteroffensive in the autumn of 2022 became a brilliant victory that will be recorded in world military history. Thus, the total war between Russia and Ukraine, which began on February 24, 2022, entered a phase of preparation for the next operations on both sides. On September 21st, after suffering major losses, the Russian government announced a partial mobilization of 300,000 troops. The Russian parliament unanimously amended the criminal code, adding provisions related to martial law and wartime measures necessary for conscription. Furthermore, in late September, Russia forcibly held referendums in the four occupied regions of Kherson, Zaporizhia, Donetsk, and Luhansk on whether to annex them. Claiming the approval of residents, Russia annexed these regions. After that, both sides continued exchanging long-range strength. October 5th, the use of Iranian-made She-136 drones by Russian forces was confirmed. October 8th, the Crimean Bridge was bombed. October 10th, Russian forces launched heavy bombardments across Ukraine. On November 9th, the Russian Ministry of Defense announced a withdrawal from Kherson on the right bank of the Dnipro River in order to shorten the front line. This withdrawal allowed Ukraine to regain Kherson Oblast, but also enabled Russia to reduce its burden and strengthen its defensive lines. On December 21st, President Zelensky visited the United States and held direct talks regarding future support. And as the year turned, the war continued into 2023.
Снимай его уже.
Слава Украине!
Да ты сдохни, сука.